your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Brad Marchand.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Welcome on in, Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart, powered by Rogue Media Network, live on YouTube, noon Eastern time every weekday, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Talking nothing but Boston sports, not any of the BS that comes with Boston Sports Talk Radio, because you know they're not talking about Scotland qualifying for the World Cup, baby. First time since '98, and what a dramatic way they did it. There's a reason why they're not talking about it around Boston, but I'm happy, man. Now we just need the Ireland team to get in as well, and I will be a pig in fecal matter. So happy to have Scotland representing at the World Cup. Hopefully at Gillette. But Can't be talking about that today. Today, we're talking about the argument that Brad Marchand is not a Hall of Famer. We're going to poke plenty of holes in that one. All-time great Bruin, all-time great player, absolutely is a Hall of Famer, but we'll tell you why one NHL expert says he's not. We will also have Jackson Roberts of Sports Illustrated, the Red Sox on SI, to talk about this new bizarre rumor that the Red Sox are all in on Bo Bichette. Why would they be in on him? And is this a smokescreen for Alex Bregman? Jackson's going to help us out with that. And it's a Wednesday, which means we're going to get weird. Weird Wednesday, weirdest sports stories of the week coming at you from Zach Burke with myself, Cam Stewart. It's all coming up on this episode of the Wicked Boston Show. But we start where we start. Is Brad Marchand a Hall of Famer? That was the question on an NHL Network panel this week. And I think all of us agreed in June that yes, Brad Marchand is a Hall of Famer, but apparently not everybody. Here's former NHL forward and current NHL Network analyst Mike Johnson on why he might not be headed for Toronto.
Brad Marchand, if he did not play again in the National Hockey League, he retires tomorrow. Is he a Hall of Famer, Mike Johnson?
No.
Whoa.
And that's not to slight his career. It's an incredible career. The fact that we're having a conversation tells you it's been amazing. But I think about, yes, the success of the 2 Stanley Cups, but he hasn't had an individual award that has been solely his. He's done a lot of winning, hasn't had Olympics, but he's had some other international success. He's right there, but 1,000 points is not enough to get in without being the absolute best at certain moments in your career, a la Forsberg or Lindros, where they were just dominantly the best player. He needs the 3 or 4 more years, gets to 1,200 points, then he's in. But right now, you look to other guys that are not, whether it's Keith Tkachuk, who's not been involved in its Hall of Fame yet, or Curtis Joseph, guys who have had sort of better individual careers without the Stanley Cups, I think would pass him at this moment.
Interesting. Okay. So he's saying Brad Marchand can't get in because he hasn't won an individual award. But then Keith Tkachuk and Curtis Joseph should get in, guys who I think should be in the Hall of Fame, who have also not won an individual award. There's so many different things we can poke through this that I almost don't even know where to start with this argument that Brad Marchand somehow not a Hall of Famer. Like, you want to talk about Keith Tkachuk? I think he should be in there. Keith Tkachuk not only doesn't have an individual award, he has 0 top 10 Hart Trophy MVP finishes. 0. Curtis Joseph has 1. Brad Marchand has 4 top 10 MVP finishes. So no, he didn't capture the award. He was not as prestigious as Corey Perry, but he was in there amongst his peers 4 times. 4 times more than Keith Tkachuk and 4 times as many times as Curtis Joseph. Okay, so he's already better than the guys who are just barely not making the Hall of Fame and should be in the Hall of Fame. And we want to keep comparing him to Keith Tkachuk, a guy who I think should very well be in. Brad Marchand has 4 straight seasons of 85 points or more. 4 straight. Keith Tkachuk only had 2 85-point seasons total in his whole career. And never had a 100-point season like Brad Marchand had. Alex McGillney, who got in this year, and everyone was so excited. Finally, Alex McGillney gets to get in. Way overdue. He never won an individual award. Shea Weber got in the Hall of Fame the year before on his first or second ballot? He never won an individual award, except for that made-up one that Mark Messier has that he just hands out to people he likes. And none of those guys won the cup. Brad Marchand won it twice. So clearly it's not a prerequisite to get in the Hall of Fame to have an individual award. Because we're seeing a bunch of guys going in the last few years who didn't win a single one. Marian Hossa, another one. He's a first ballot. He never won an individual award. Never even finished inside the top 10 for Hart voting. He went in on the first ballot. Brad Marchand had 4 times where he finished inside the top 10 for Hart voting. And then there's another one that really sticks out to me. So you mean to tell me, Mike Johnson, you mean to tell me that someone who has played 1,100 NHL games, has 391 goals, just over 1,000 points, and has won the Stanley Cup, should not be in the Hall of Fame? What about a guy who has done all of those things, but has scored 400 goals and has won 2 Stanley Cups? Seems like a no-brainer, right? Well, the first player on there is Martin St. Louis, a first ballot Hall of Famer. No one around the hockey world had a second thought about it. The second player with even better numbers is Brad Marchand, who had essentially an identical career to St. Louis, except with more goals and with more success. Now, look, I get it. St. Louis did win the MVP and the Art Ross Trophy in 2004. It was the same year that Lightning won the Stanley Cup. So there's your big individual award. But he won the Art Ross as the league's leading scorer with 94 points in a full season schedule. Again, look, leading the league is leading the league. I don't want to move the goalposts here, but we're going to put him in first ballot and leave Marchand out of the Hall of Fame entirely on the basis of one season that would have had St. Louis tied for 8th in points this past year in the NHL. That's the thing. That's the individual award that we're keeping Brad Marchand out of. And what's funny is they actually have the same amount of 100-point seasons. But Brad Marchand's 100-point season only got him tied for 5th in the scoring race. So by this logic of needing an individual award to legitimize your Hockey Hall of Fame case, we're giving credit to Marty St. Louis for just playing in the peak of the trap hockey era, where the next season they changed the rules to allow for more scoring. That's how bad it was. That's the season where Marty St. Louis leads the league in points, and we're like, okay, first ballot, Hall of Fame, he's got to be in, according to Mike Johnson. And you want to bring international success in here too? Then we're going to leave no doubt. Okay, because Brad Marchand has played in an era where when his prime came around, there was no best-on-best international hockey. It had been wiped off the face of the planet in his prime. And he wasn't playing in the World Championships because he was in the playoffs every year. So he's played twice for Canada in best-on-best competition, and he won gold both times. He did it at the Four Nations this past year, and he scored the gold medal winning goal at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. So he's got the international success too. He's got the NHL success. He's got the numbers. He's got the points. But because he never won the Lady Byng, then he can't go in, which is an award he'll never win, by the way, even though he's changed his ways. But because he doesn't win one individual award, he can't go in the Hall of Fame. To me, that's just nuts. That's just crazy. You know, it's tough for me to fathom. Like Shea Weber, I don't think any of us had a second thought about him going in the Hall of Fame. He never won the Norris. Not one time. He finished in the top 3 a couple times, but that doesn't matter according to Mike Johnson. You got to win. There's so many holes in this. And I'm going to go analytical with it too. Not just the counting stats and those points, but what I love more than just about anything on the internet is Hockey Reference's similarity scores. That I think can tell so much. It's all about point share. And Brad Marchand has Hall of Fame similarity scores. Okay, let me just run down the list for you. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to pause the video, stop me when you hear someone that isn't a Hall of Famer or isn't going to be a Hall of Famer in short order. Through 18 seasons, Brad Marchand's similarity scores match up with Steve Yzerman, Joe Thornton, Brett Hull, Marcel Dion, Jerome McGinley, Patrick Kane, Bobby Hull, Evgeny Malkin, Steven Stamkos, and Joe Sakic. Which of those guys isn't a Hall of Famer? Which of those guys that Brad Marchand is so closely related to in point production is not a Hall of Famer? I'll wait. And you want to go it through years of his career. It's the same guys on the list. Bobby Hull, Marcel Dion, Patrick Kane, Stamkos, Thornton, Beliveau, Yzerman, Malkin, St. Louis, Iginla. Like, just stop me when it's not a Hall of Famer on the list. It's crazy. And I know, like, he is going to get a couple more years, and he is going to get the points that's going to satisfy Mike Johnson, but probably not the individual award. And he's going to be a slam dunk Hall of Famer. But the point is, he's a Hall of Famer right now. Right now. By all the metrics we use to find Hall of Famers. And I'm a guy who loves top 10 MVP votes in any sport. I think that's such a good indicator of how they were in their prime. And Brad Marchand had one hell of a prime. Wasn't Connor McDavid, okay? Wasn't Nathan McKinnon, wasn't Sidney Crosby. But he's absolutely a Hall of Famer. And if Martin St. Louis, one of my favorite players growing up, if Martin St. Louis is a first ballot Hall of Famer, then there's no way you can leave Brad Marchand completely out when he's had an identical career with more success right now at this day if he never played another NHL game again. But oh, by the way, the Panthers have their two best players out for a long time. And 37-year-old Brad Marchand is on pace to score 100 points right now, a quarter of the way through the season. And you mean to tell me this dude's not a Hall of Famer? Come on. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is Brad Marchand a Hall of Famer right now? Because he will be at the end of it, but he is a Hall of Famer right now. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. It helps me keep my job. And we are live here every weekday, high noon Eastern time on YouTube. And then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio, The Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Coming up next, we have got some crazy rumors around this Red Sox team. Bo Bichette. Why Bo Bichette? Sports Illustrated's Jackson Roberts, friend of the show, will join and try to make sense of all of this, why the Red Sox would go for that for him, and what that would possibly mean for Alex Bregman. That's coming up next on The Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart.
Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more.
A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You like.
Welcome back, Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. I know my own name. Here on Rogue Media Network, we're going to have Jackson Roberts of Sports Illustrated in just a second. I've kept him hanging around, but I just got this weird text in the break from my lovely fiance who posted, she sent me a screenshot of an Instagram of one of her friends who had a baby, and the baby's named Cameron. And she goes, I didn't know kids were called that anymore. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, babies can't be named Cameron? It was like, yeah, I didn't become Cameron until I was 8. It was Tiny Dinky Daffy before that. What? What are we talking about here? Oh, what we're really talking about is the Red Sox, and this winter is heating up. A new report says the Red Sox are interested in stealing one of the best players for the best team in the American League East. Bo Bichette on the Red Sox radar, according to Rob Bradford of WEEI. That's a name that is kind of weird. Let's bring in a familiar name. Jackson Roberts of the Red Sox on SI, joining the Wicked Boston show here. Jackson, Bo Bichette, like, where does that come from?
Bo Bichette. It's interesting. And Cam, thanks for having me on. I hope you solve your identity crisis with your name there.
Thank you.
I'm intrigued because I feel like the Red Sox at this point are just putting out the feelers for everybody. And while I would put the odds of Bo Bichette actually joining the team fairly low compared to Bregman, Schwarber, and Alonso, I wouldn't put it past them. And more importantly, I think what they're maybe trying to do here is drive up the market for the Blue Jays and say, like, hey, we want this guy. We'll offer him $200 million. And then the Blue Jays counter and say, okay, we'll give him $220 and we'll give him the 8th year or something. I feel like that's a pretty common practice in free agency, just like try and extract every dollar out of your division rivals when you know they really want a reunion with a particular player. So anything could be on the table. I wouldn't necessarily hate Bichette, over Bregman for the next 5 years. I think it's a reasonable comparison. I mean, Bregman is certainly older. He's a better defender. He, what position he's going to play. With Bichette, you would kind of have to figure out whether he's second or third. But the bat is real, and he's always crushed the ball at Fenway. So I wouldn't necessarily be against it, but I wouldn't put it high on the scale of things I think are going to happen.
Yeah, so the smokescreen theory seems like a legit one. We see Tampa do that a lot. In the AL East, we see Tampa, oh yeah, we're finally interested in somebody.
Yeah. I thought Tampa really was going after Aaron Judge, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
I heard that the ink was almost dry and it fell through like the A-Rod Red Sox thing. I think it was that close. But looking at Bichette, like, let's just play it out, and they're really interested and they want to bring him in. You mentioned there's obviously no certainty they're going to bring Alex Bregman back, And so if Bo Bichette comes in here, how does this infield look? Where does he fit in?
I think so. I mean, if we're doing the scenario where Bichette comes in and they're not re-signing Bregman,
yes, good point.
My guess would be Bichette at second base, where he played in the World Series and has some modicum of professional experience. I mean, he's obviously been a shortstop otherwise whenever he's been a Blue Jay. And I would think they would move Marcelo Meyer to third, and they saw him play third this season, and they really liked what they saw defensively. And I think you, at that point, it becomes a legitimate question at that point as to whether you go get, a big bat at first base, because obviously Bichette's going to cost probably even more money than Bregman was going to. So if you had the capacity to get Bregman and Alonso per se, I don't know if you also have the capacity to get Bichette and Alonso. So I think potentially a Bichette signing, and I still don't think it's super realistic, but that might be a lifeline for Tristan Casas in some scenario. I also have seen Tristan Casas may very well be traded by opening day. So I think there's a lot of things that are still on the table. It's probably the most uncertain time of the offseason because aside from the 4 trades they made yesterday, we don't really know what the Red Sox have in store. And I'm interested to see how it all plays out, because I think for every move, there's 3 counter moves that are, pretty much equally interesting.
Yeah, I do want to get to the trade frenzy in a second, because it seems, a lot of lower level names, guys that, some fans aren't sad to see them go, but I think it has a lot of interesting behind the scenes stuff there. I'm just thinking with the Bichette thing. So you lay it out there, you go out and get a guy who's a career shortstop. You mentioned they played him at second. He was a liability at shortstop defensively. We saw what Trevor Story was at shortstop at the end of the season. That feels counterproductive if that did happen, and you brought in a career shortstop to play second base while a career shortstop is kind of floundering at shortstop, and you almost essentially lost a playoff game last year because you don't have infield defense. Am I thinking too fatalistically about that?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, are we, if you get Bichette and you just settle him in at second base for like the next 5 years, then that doesn't really have much bearing on Trevor Story, in my opinion. And if anything, it's, a little bit of insurance for if Trevor Story winds up getting hurt, like he has 3 of the past 4 years, then you have both Meyer and Bichette who could take over, because Meyer might get hurt too. And then all of a sudden Bichette's your only option at shortstop from what we've seen. So, playing out that scenario, I don't find it to be, too, scary of a proposition for the Red Sox. I do wonder about Story's defense long-term. I was a little bit surprised with how emphatic Craig Breslow was at the GM meetings about Story keeping the shortstop position. But, after last offseason, first of all, I don't think you're in danger of like a Rafael Devers situation with Trevor Story, where if you try to move his position, he's going to demand a trade. And I think, if anything, Breslow can posture however he wants. At the end of the day, if there was a better shortstop option out there, I think the Red Sox would go after it. But you're looking at Meyer and his inability to stay healthy, and I think you just want that guy to prove he can. And otherwise, you're looking at how can you improve this offense, and hopefully the infield defense kind of comes along naturally. And Meyer playing 150 games certainly would help with that.
So let's talk about improving the middle of the order, because Bichette, good hitter, but does he fit really any of the needs that you have middle of the order right-handed bat?
Well, he's certainly right-handed. So that checks the box. I think so. It's
okay.
I want a 40 homer guy first and foremost. And if Bichette were to be like the main marquee addition, and they weren't going to go for, if it's just Bichette and it's not Bregman, Alonso, or Schwarber, then I'd be maybe a little bit concerned about the, kind of the continuing lack of home run pop. There could be other ways to find that. I don't know. It's so early in the off season. But to me, it's like the guy hits 300. He leads the American League in hits whenever he stays healthy for a full season. Could be a good defensive second baseman for all we know. Obviously, there were some struggles at shortstop, and I feel like from what I saw, he was able to still make the spectacular play every now and again. It's just like maybe a footwork thing and an inconsistent throwing thing, and those things could be corrected at second base a little bit. So I would welcome the addition. But I certainly think that I would prioritize guys who I feel like are going to hit me 40 home runs. And I don't necessarily know that Bichette's that guy.
I think I'm there with you. I like a good 40 home run guy. Sue me. I don't care. I don't care that. Yeah, I know, right? But when you get a chance to get Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks on your roster, Jackson, you cannot pass up that opportunity. Look at what they did for you in the playoffs last year. You can't pass up that kind of opportunity, right?
Sounds like crickets to me. I'm hearing crickets in the background.
I get it. So obviously then, Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber still have to be at the top of your list. And I would imagine Pete Alonso, as we've talked about, is probably getting the slight edge there because he can play in the field. I know a lot of people don't like his defense, but he can play in the field. Right-handed, which helps just a little bit more, even though Schwarber hit 56 homers, and the price is probably going to be a little bit lower than Schwarber. Is that still the way you're seeing it? Or do you think that market is just going to get crazy for both of them?
I think that to me, it's like a real, what's the word I'm looking for here? I think it's more realistic to sign Pete Alonso. I don't necessarily think he's a better fit for the Red Sox. You can make that argument. You can also make the argument that you want the guy who hit 56 homers as opposed to 38. But I think the reality is that the Phillies aren't going to let Schwarber go anywhere. And I think the Mets are much more willing to part ways with Alonso. We basically saw it last offseason that they were willing to walk away from the table if he wanted anything more than 2-3 years. I think their best offer to him before the 2 years for 54 he signed for was something like 3 for 90, maybe even less than that. So really, they knew they had a pretty depressed market for him with the qualifying offer, and they also knew that he was coming off a bad year by his standards. But to me, if I'm Pete Alonso, I'm like, screw these guys. I want to go somewhere else. And I feel like Boston could be that place. So just in terms of who I think is more signable, I think it would be Alonso over Schwarber. But certainly I would not complain one bit with either one of them joining this lineup, because that's exactly what they need in both cases.
I'll take either one. Obviously, Kyle Schwarber, famously from Waltham. Pete Alonso, his wife's from Quincy. He spends some of the offseason here in Massachusetts. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Speaking of throwing it out there, you said this. It sounds like the Red Sox are just interest kings again, except now they actually have some more ambition, they have some freed up money, and they have some trade assets. So it's a little bit more spicy, interest Kings in this offseason. We've heard pitching names being thrown about, all kinds of them, right? Tarek Skubal, Freddie Peralta was the most recent one with the Brewers, and whether he's on the trade market. But we heard again on Monday that the Red Sox, according to a report, were making a big push for Joe Ryan. That's a name that keeps coming back. We have talked about it quite a bit. With those other names being thrown around there, is Joe Ryan still, while it's in the shadows, kind of the most likely scenario for that Red Sox number 2 starter?
Most likely is interesting. I wouldn't necessarily put it above a 50% chance, but if you're going to ask me like who I think is most likely between Joe Ryan and 9 other guys who all have kind of similar ceilings, I probably would take Joe Ryan. I think the bottom line is that the Twins have to be a little bit careful, unfortunately, because if you trade both Ryan and Pablo Lopez, then I think you're pretty much guaranteeing that Byron Buxton asks out. And if you do that, then I don't think anybody's coming to Twins games for the next 5 years. So as much as it might be tempting to tear the whole thing down, they may feel like they have to hang on to Ryan this year, just purely from like an economical standpoint, which is, not a good way to run your team, but they're already kind of running their team in a bad way. So it's not really up to the Red Sox as to whether or not they do it. But, the other side of that coin is, do the Red Sox make an offer to the Twins that they feel like they just can't pass up? For a guy who has 2 years left under contract, who was having a phenomenal season until, the last month and a half or so. And I don't fault him for that one bit, because if my entire team got traded away, I would probably struggle to keep producing at the same level as well. So as much as like he had a 4.5 win season with a 3.4 ERA, I feel like you're really getting a guy who you're more so expecting like a 5.5 win season from and a 3 flat ERA next year. So I'd be super excited about that prospect. The Red Sox have been generating pitching prospects like, Tom Brady dog lab clones. So I'm not particularly worried about them trading a few more of those. And I would really welcome the move.
It's about time they started cloning some pitching prospects. It's about time. I don't think they've ever had like this many at the same time. And it's not like, hey, they're about to have a new starting rotation next year, but they've got a pretty, obviously with Bayo, who's been at the major league level a couple of years. And then you talk about the Earlys and the Tolleys. It's a heck of a good situation, but
and it leads into all those trades we saw them make yesterday, because they feel so comfortable with their pitching depth that they're willing to let go of guys like Brennan Bernardino, Chris Murphy, Josh Winkowski, who they didn't even trade. They just cut because they feel so good about the depth they've built up.
Yeah, and I did want to go off of that too, because there was a lot of moves. It's very inside baseball, but there's no one I'd rather go through the baseball weeds with here on the Wicked Boston Show than Jackson Roberts of Sports Illustrated, because I know you're going through the weeds too. A lot of these moves, especially a lot of the minor ones, had to do with freeing up space on the 40. And this was something that was really interesting to look at about the last year, of guys that the Red Sox needed to get on the 40-man roster so that they didn't lose them for nothing in the Rule 5. So how do you think they're maneuvering that? Who is not there that you would have expected to be there at this point? And are they trying to make room for a prospect in particular?
I think they actually added more people than I was confident they were going to add, which led to the extra trades. Mm-hmm. And to me, there's a few big winners from yesterday. One is Shane Drohan, who apparently is just going to be like in the mix to be in the bullpen, because otherwise I don't think they would have protected him. He's 26. He's had some injury concerns, but he struck out a ton of dudes in AAA last year. And they basically gutted the rest of their left-handed bullpen. So while they might try to, say bring back a Steven Matz in free agency or a Justin Wilson, I feel like he's going to get a legitimate shot to pitch out of that bullpen early in the season. The other side is, aside from like Tolley and Early, who I don't think they would do this with, do they kick a Kyle Harris into the bullpen at some point? That would certainly not look great for the Rafael Devers trade, but they're not in the business of winning the Rafael Devers trade. They're in the business of winning baseball games. So there's that side of things. Tyler Uberstein is an interesting addition that I like, because he was really like consistent and gave you a lot of bulk at AAA last year. And that's like kind of somebody in the Hunter Dobbins mold of like guys you might not expect that are going to like play an important role this season, but couple guys get hurt, and all of a sudden Tyler Uberstein's like in your rotation. So I had no issue with that. And then I think the big one is David Sandlin, because he throws 100, and the experiment of putting him in the bullpen didn't really work out for his short promotion to AAA last year. But they need guys that throw 100, and I don't really see room in the rotation. So I'd be interested to see if, he's definitely not going to like break camp with the roster, but does he become an impact arm for that bullpen down the stretch? I think all three of those guys are really interesting adds. And again, like kind of more than I expected to be done with regards to the 40-man yesterday.
A lot of that 40-man movement, a lot of that 40.
I love it. It's one of my favorite, because like, those guys are going to matter at some point. I mean, you think about Brennan Bernardino, who they just traded away. I mean, he was a guy who they scooped up with 2 1/3 innings to his name in the majors at age 30, and he ended up throwing some huge innings for them the last 3 years. So these are the type of moves that aren't going to get the big flashy breaking news headlines, but they wind up mattering at some point during a 162 game season.
It's where GM makes his money. One of the places where GM makes his money. Speaking of, in the trades and the prospects and guys the Red Sox have let go recently, saw a very interesting report that the White Sox are okay potentially trading their top catching prospect, Kyle Teal. Could the Red Sox just do the funniest thing ever and just go bring Kyle Teal back?
I don't think the White Sox are trading Kyle Teal. I mean, I love that. It would be amazing, right? Like
it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Like
the one guy they would miss. But yeah, I mean, he was really good for them this year, and he's certainly not like a prospect anymore. Like he was a legitimate top half of the league, big league catcher last year. So if anything, I mean, I saw I can't remember exactly like what format it was in, but I definitely saw something along the lines of what you were just talking about. And to me, like, why would you not trade Caro, who's like the less proven commodity of the two? But yeah, I mean, the Red Sox just acquired a White Sox catcher yesterday. So I'm not certain they're going to do it again, but I guess Ronnie Hernandez could be something somewhere down the road.
Who knows? I mean, it looks like the White Sox are doing better with that trade so far than they did with the Sale trade, which looked foolproof for them, and it just didn't work out. Jackson Roberts with the Red Sox on SI. Obviously, as you could tell from this interview, we've got so many rumors flying around with the Red Sox. So, Jackson, let me know where the people can find you and what kind of things you guys are cooking up this week.
Yeah, I mean, as always, go check out Red Sox on SI. Certainly, like as much wall-to-wall coverage as you'll get, of this team throughout the offseason. The offseason, as we've said, is like kind of one of the more exciting times for, kind of the people like us that cover the rumor mill. And yeah, I mean, I feel like we're pretty much just going to be like every single day you'll get like 8 to 10 stories in your feed. So it's going to be wall-to-wall stuff. And at some point the moves will actually start flying, but you follow Red Sox on SI, you'll know kind of what the moves might be before they actually happen. That's my pitch.
Yeah, and if you want to know which ones are BS or not, check out the Red Sox on SI or anytime that Jackson Roberts is here on the Wicked Boston Show. Jackson, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for hopping on again.
Thank you. See you next time.
We definitely will. There he goes. Jackson Roberts of the Red Sox on SI, our foremost Red Sox rumor expert, Jackson Roberts. So check out his work and all the great stuff they're doing over there on Red Sox on SI. What would you think about Bo Bichette? Would that make any sense to you? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we come at you every weekday live at noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. When we come back, we're going to get a little weird. And by that, I mean we're going to bring Zach Burke onto the screen, and he's going to give us the 3 weirdest sports stories of the week. Will a former Patriot be involved yet again? I don't know. Zach's the one who gets the stories. We'll tell you next on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Do you know about the 3 T's of Thanksgiving? Turkey for eating, table for gathering, and touchdowns for winning. With DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in before dessert. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, all the action's in your hands. First touchdown, anytime TD, live bets. Every play, every snap, every game counts. Big plays, bold calls, and bragging rights. When the games get good, the bets get better. Here's the best part. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. When touchdowns happen, we feast. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CAMSHOW. That's code CAMSHOW. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio limited time offer.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Here we are, Wicked Boston Show. Cam Stewart, Rogue Media Sports Network. It's Wednesday, my dudes, which means it's time to get weird. Zach Burke comes out from behind the glass and is going to give us the 3 weirdest sports stories of the week. Zach,
or at least close to
here? What is this?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. What? Do I not look happy to be here?
You do now.
Okay, thank you.
Where is this glare coming from? I'm in the same spot every single day. Why? Yeah, you see this? Like right
on your neck, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. I sit in the same spot every day.
Do you have a sunlight in your room there?
I have a light, but not
I saw it. Okay.
There's a window on the other side with the blinds closed. Drawn.
Blinds
drawn means closed, right? Not open.
No, drawn means open, right?
I don't know, man.
I have somebody who can help. Mike, if blinds are drawn, are they open or closed? Mike said they're closed.
Blinds are drawn, baby. Blind melons are drawn.
That's completely different.
Anyway.
He doesn't know. Neither of us knows. But I do have to say, because you teased it before we went to break, did I miss a story that I should have had then that is Patriots related?
Oh, I mean, the image of Bill Belichick at that adult cheerleading competition is fucking mental. And I tweeted, I still have it up and it got like 1 like, which is whatever. But I quote tweeted it and I was like, what timeline are we in? And a bunch of people, I say a bunch, like 3 or 4 people reached out to me and was like, dude, what's with that tweet? Because they thought that it was about like next to Jordan, on either side of Jordan, who looks fucking ridiculous, by the way, are 2 male cheerleaders. And I'm like, I couldn't give a shit less about male cheerleaders. Like, don't give a shit. It's just the fact that 74-year-old Bill Belichick is at his girlfriend's cheerleading competition Like, what the fuck, man? Like, what is that? What is that? Like, I think that's a fair question to be like, what the fuck is happening here?
He's being supportive.
But that, like, and that's fine. But again, that puts us back. We then have to realize that his girlfriend is 24 years old. That's crazy.
Well,
like, he shouldn't have a girlfriend that is young enough to be doing cheerleading competitions.
Okay, that's kind of that's we get into more of the
It's
thing
legal,
there.
but it's fucking weird.
It is. No, for sure. For sure. I mean, he doesn't have kids, right?
He does. He has 3 kids.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Who are
they're all older
than his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Much older, actually. Yeah. His daughter's like 40.
Oh, he could he could have grandkids that were in the same competition as his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That is a little strange. No, that's weird too. That's not the weird I do have for us though. I'm trying to figure out where to start with. I do have 3 in a way. I'm grouping 2 of the NBA together.
Okay.
First of all, this was just very strange. I brought clips today. Did you watch any of the Texas A&M South Carolina game over the weekend?
I did. Yep. That was a 30-3 halftime lead, I want to say.
It was. And then South Carolina ended up blowing that lead, and Texas A&M came back and won by 1. But the big news from there was after a Nick Harbor long 80-plus yard touchdown that put the Gamecocks up, I think 27-3, as they're coming out of the tunnel there, he gets ran into by a DPS agent who purposely walks into him. Like it does
clearly. Yeah.
And then turns around and throws a big fit. And ended up resulting in the DPS agent being sent home for the game.
In the middle of the game.
In the middle of the game.
Yeah.
I had never seen it before where obviously they're there for, you'll see them a lot when coaches go out to the sidelines or just so, walk the team through. I have yet in my 37 years seen where one ran into a player on purpose and then had to get sent home from it. So that was very
especially
strange.
it's not coming out of half. That's a player after scoring a touchdown. Why? I'm not sure why the agent's even going down there. Make sure they're not running into the wrong locker room, which I think is unlikely to happen.
And that's the thing too, is I have shortened it a bit, but the extended one is they walk up a bit and the wide receiver Harbor's rubbing the back of his quad, kind of loosening it up before he turns around to walk back. There's not them trying to get into anything. His teammates are just celebrating with him, and then that, and it was just
and knowing too, all the eyes are on you. Right?
Yes.
The cameras are on you and everyone in the stadium is watching the guy that just scored a touchdown. It's so A&M Corps of Cadets thing.
Very much so.
Oh, man. Oh, you want to start something? I'll be the first ever cop versus football player fight in the middle of a college football game. Sure.
Yeah. No, this one, we'll get into one later where I think it's obviously more on the player than it is the, fan in this incident, but this was for sure all on the DPS agent there.
So bizarre.
Very weird. It was just so strange for him. What is he? I don't know. Was he going to fist fight him right there in the middle of the, man? Let's go.
I think that guy's wicked tough though. I think that guy's so cool.
Probably. I feel like he's one of the guys that when you see fights happen, he's clear across the other side of the ice or maybe even on the bench and he's already just throwing his gloves off. He's just ready to go.
He definitely has no problem getting laid. If I just had to guess, if I had to guess, I don't think he has any problem picking up chicks and getting laid.
No, not at all.
Chicks, of course. Chicks.
Yes.
Gotta be chicks with that dude.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Over into the world of the NBA, I'm going to show you, I know that you're not the biggest 76ers fan, but I'm going to show you a Joel Embiid shot from this last Friday.
I like this.
Right? Okay. And it's more importantly, it is against the Celtics. He makes the basket, but it's more about that celebration right there. Very quick, very I have it played one more time because I want you to guess how much did that cost Joel Embiid?
Ooh. A player making that kind of money, and that does come into account.
Yes, and while you're thinking about that, I'm going to add in I'll wait till after because Joel had a nice little joke.
I'll bet they find him. It should have been it shouldn't have been anything if we're being honest. I'll say they find him $20,000.
Double it plus. That was a $50K $50,000 fine for that.
I mean, for what, dude? Like, first off, I mean, he's a former MVP, 7-footer, like 200 whatever pounds, and he's in an isolation with Anthony Simons, who's one of the worst defenders in the league. So I don't think he should be celebrating much anyway.
Yeah.
But like, come on, dude, really? That's it? What did they say? Lewd gesture towards the fans? Like, oh, come on, man.
That it's funny.
Embiid's a dink, but come on.
He is. Well, Embiid went to Twitter, and I kind of agree with him. He was like, if I'm going to get fined for that, you guys need to go after the refs with these blocking calls. And I found the one that he posted. And look at the ref in the bottom left corner as this plays over here. Like, come on.
You does not need to go that hard.
50K. Look at that. Oh, there's so much hip thrusting in there. That's not 50K worth.
They do not need to be that serious about it, but he's right. Joel Embiid's wrong about a lot of things, but he's right about that. Come on, man. Yeah. It's just dumb. Like, and there's so many other worse things that we see. Like, and I get it. You're seeing a lot in football, especially college football. Like anything with a gun is automatically flagged. And I'm like, okay, I think that's fair. You know what I mean? Like that's a fair kind of landmark thing of like, if it's anything violent, sure. But like just one of those, which by the way,
crotch chop, come on.
Which
man.
By the way, what would the foul have been on Anthony Simons?
Blocking.
Would it have not been a block?
Yeah.
Was Joel Embiid just helping out, explaining the call to those who didn't see the ref?
That's all he's doing.
That could have
been the argument.
That's just a dumb.
Staying in the NBA, and something that didn't get any fines, but was still very strange and very weird to me, was I don't know if you heard about Draymond Green in New Orleans over the weekend. In the game Friday night against San Antonio, he decided that he was going to try to, bully Victor Wembanyama, which did not turn out very well for him.
Nope.
So then on, I believe it was Sunday night, while they're playing in New Orleans, early on in the game, there's a moment where Draymond goes to get an offensive rebound, tip it back in, gets the board, shoots it back again, misses, gets the board, and I think misses 3 times. 3 offensive rebounds, misses 3 shots.
Sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
The fan, as he's walking by, sits there and basically calls him Angel Reese.
Which sounds like a fair comparison after that sequence.
It is.
I think that's a very fair thing to say.
It is. And Draymond himself, even afterwards, was like, oh, it was clever at first. But then he kept adding more to it at the end. And by the end of it, like, I have 4 kids and a 5th one on the way. And he's like questioning my man. And at some point in time,
dude, it's just the same shit with this guy. Every fucking time.
If anything, if I'm Angel Reese, I'm kind of upset of why is Draymond Green so pissed off that somebody called me him? Like, I get what the guy was going for in the reference at first, but come on, kind of like what the point you were going on at the beginning.
Okay, like it
doesn't change anything. He's just calling you somebody else's name.
Yes, like a guy saying that might take a bit of a shot, I guess, at masculinity, but he is not saying that Draymond Green has a vagina. Like, he's not saying that. He is saying, he's comparing him to a women basketball player. Cause I mean, hey, how much has that game taken off? Right. And he's comparing it to someone who misses a lot and grabs their own rebound. Like, that's literally what it is, man. And that's such like the Draymond playbook, dude. He did this with in the finals with the Celtics fans that were chanting like, fuck you, Draymond. And he goes in the press conference and he's like, yeah, see, I don't mind it. But like, there are kids in the stands. I'm like, shut up. You don't fucking care. Like, you do not care about that. Yep. He's like, my mom was there. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So you're worried about your image and how people react to it in front of your mom. Maybe don't clock your teammates in a practice. Maybe don't pull this shit all the time, man. Like, Draymond seems like off the court a nice enough guy. Like, he actually does. But he's such a dink, man. Like, he takes this shit so personally. And he just acts like an asshole on the court all the time. And he was right in this dude's face, which I don't know, man. This is an interesting debate in sports of like, where is the boundary? Like, where's the line with players and fans? Like, if you're heckling a dude from the second row, like, you probably assume the risk that he's going to get up in your face.
Yeah.
Maybe not that he's going to punch you or knock your lights out. Like that's probably over the line. But then he might go up in your face. And I don't think this guy was mad that happened, by the way. I don't think he was afraid of that based on the reaction. But
he also seemed kind of pretty similar height-wise to Draymond too, which it makes it a little bit easier if you want to go into the crowd to say something to a fan, and then the fan stands up and he's kind of your same height. That just
like
friggin'
Happy Gilmore when Shooter turns around.
Yes,
and guy an asshole. Oh my god, yeah. That would be funny to see. I don't think it's past. In fact, I think that's probably how Draymond's career is going to end. I think he's just going to attack a fan. I think he's going to punch a fan.
And that'll be maybe.
Like Woody Hayes, and that'll just be the end of it.
Kind of like if there was a video footage of what happened with Latrell Sprewell in practice with PJ Curtis.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that Draymond did, by the way, I don't remember who it was. Damn it. In that practice, Jordan Poole?
Yeah, it was Jordan Poole that he sucker punched. Yeah.
That is not that much different from the Latrell Sprewell thing. Latrell's happened to be with a coach, which is a power dynamic. But like this kid with Jordan Poole was a kid. Like he was a young player on the team. Draymond was a 3 or 4 time champion at that point, like well respected around the league, and he fucking clocks his teammate. Real quick story on that. In
and then
high
I'll
school,
close out with the last one.
When we started a lacrosse team at my high school, it was a bunch of kids who had never played before and just wanted to hit people. And it was like a hellscape in practice. Games were release, but in practice they would just football players just try to hit people because they didn't want to play baseball, so they'd play lacrosse. And this one kid just got fucking leveled one day. They were both going for a ground ball. The other guy was a football player, and he just forearm shivered him, like put everything into it, forearm shiver, jawing up. Like I'm surprised the kid didn't break his neck. Got fucking eyes rolling in the back of his head, crying afterwards. And one of the assistant coaches, who was one that everyone loved, had to be like, guys, lacrosse is a physical sport. Like we can win games being physical, but these are your teammates. Like this is practice. You can't fucking do that. Like, how about we just limit the hits in practice? Like he's like, first off, you would have got kicked out of the game for that hit. And you did it in a practice. So you had a bunch of kids who were like just in all kinds of creatine and protein shit and wanted to hit people and didn't know the rules of the sport. That's what Draymond Green's like in practice. He just wants to hit his teammates. So anyway,
that's a good point. The last one I have, and I'll keep it kind of quick because I know that it's not necessarily might not appeal to everybody here in the audience, but it is so fascinating to me. And that is, so the Dallas Mavericks have sued the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
They're essentially saying that they're like the Stars are blocking potential renovations and things that they want to do to the American Airlines Center to upgrade it. The Stars are arguing that the Mavs are trying to force them out of everything and essentially make them seem like tenants instead of it actually being like a partnership thing.
So does either one of the teams own the building?
So it's a partnership between the two of them.
Gotcha. Because we see that in Boston. The Bruins own the building. So the Celtics don't really have much of a say in anything, but it sounds like this is different. Like most of the teams in the league, it's different.
No, this is different. I'm trying to find if I could see the exact company, but they have it all broken down. Like there's a company that owns the building there and they both like work out of it kind of. It's like a joint.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's how most of them go.
One of the big things that I keep seeing popping up from the Stars, where they're saying that no, we're not trying to block the progress here. The Mavs are actually trying to force us out. Is that they're going in and like painting like club areas, Mavs colors, and like getting rid of like Stars logos and stuff like throughout the arena, and they're making it seem like it's more just the Mavs are the only team there. And the Stars are like, well, that's not the case. Like we have to then do so much work to get ready for our games while you guys played because you are kind of getting rid of everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Mavs sue them and they bring up the fact that the Stars have an office in Frisco, which if you're not familiar with Dallas is about 20 miles, maybe. It's not far away, but it's a suburb of Dallas essentially, that they have a secondary office there. And that it was under the agreement of the arena that you had to have an office in Dallas. Well, the Stars have bounced back and said, yeah, that's great, but you guys' office is actually in Las Vegas. So how about y'all explain what you're doing here? Back in 2024, The team offices were secretly moved out of state from Dallas and to Las Vegas, where they have been. So everything that the Mavs are trying to accuse the Stars of doing, the Stars are actually saying, nah, they're the ones doing it. They're not just hated for being an inept franchise in the NBA. They're hated by other franchises and other organizations because of how inept they are. And there's actually a court case now between the two, the suing from the Mavs to the Stars and the countersuit that will be heard in court in January. I have a feeling we are leading to, more than anything, the Dallas Mavericks are eventually going to be out of Dallas.
Woo! The NBA would love to put a team in Vegas, Zach. We know that. They'd really love it to be like the Kings or the Trailblazers, but because Dallas is a big market. It's a top 10 market.
They are. But everything to me just points towards.
But it's happened before in major pro sports, right? Like it did happen in Atlanta for hockey, but obviously that's a little bit different than the other sports. But it happened in St. Louis to football. Like what kind of city loses a football team? Like that's crazy. So it's not beyond the pales. What I'm saying, like it's not out of nowhere or not completely unreasonable for the NBA to want that team to go to Vegas.
Absolutely. I forgot one little tidbit that fits in the weird. A couple weeks ago, the president, I think it was the president of the Stars, got a letter with $110 in it in cash from Mavs ownership saying like, yeah, since y'all have that office in Frisco, this is us buying buying you guys out of the AAC.
$110, huh?
$110 and in an envelope. Nice. And that's the move you want to go for, to be like, they're doing everything they can to just get that entire like, that's why I think too, that it makes sense for it to be the Mavs at this point, because they are actively, I have never seen a sports franchise actively try to kill its fan base harder.
And meanwhile, the Stars, not that they have a huge fan base or anything, are one of the most well-run teams in the NHL. Like they do a really good job running a franchise and they're set for a while. Like they're going to have good teams for a long time because of how well they manage this franchise. And the Mavericks, you're right, are kind of on the other end. They got lucky in a way. I mean, they made the trade right for Luka on draft day, but in a sense, lucky that you were in that situation and that Luka turned out to be what he was. And then you traded him. And then you're going to trade Anthony Davis away, which is hilarious, man. I know like one real Mavs fan, so I don't feel that bad. But that would be crazy to see them playing in Vegas. Yeah. I don't think that is impossible.
I don't
see
either.
them playing in Vegas.
I don't either.
But I'll give you one word, though. I'll give you one friggin' word. If the Mavericks want to stay in DFW, there is one magic word. One word that will never turn its back on you. You can name your price, and they will say absolutely 100%. Charge our taxpayers whatever you want, just as long as you put a stadium here. That one word, Arlington.
Oh, that is true.
Arlington has never turned down shit for a stadium, never turned down an event. They had a perfectly fine outdoor ballpark, and then they were like, you know what, maybe it should be indoors. It was 25 years old, and they just built another one.
It was still a nice ballpark.
And they kept the outdoor ballpark there. You know how much of a waste that is for tax purposes? They don't care. They don't care. Arlington's like, we'll take anything. Bring all the high school state championships here. Bring the fucking World Cup here. Bring anything you want. You want to build another stadium? Go right ahead. Arlington. We
have another parking lot. We can call it the trifecta, and you guys can be right by the ballpark in the football.
Yes, man. Arlington would take the Mavs in a second. So,
well, maybe they can have the Stars. Although I think
maybe it's a little closer to Vegas. I don't know.
Ooh, maybe. All right, that's all I got.
Well, thanks, Zach. It's actually probably not, right? Because it would be south. Arlington's like south, just south.
I think so.
Anyway, thank you, Zach. That was weird. You can stay right here. We're just gonna throw it to the end. That was Weird Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Live on YouTube every weekday, noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. So like, subscribe, find us tomorrow at noon Eastern time. It's the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart and Zach Burke. We'll see you then.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit opengoaalusa.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.